welcome into Better in Green Live. We have a special, for no reason at all, doubleheader Monday night NFL football. We have an NFC North matchup, which again, our prediction was pretty spot on in our show, intentional lounging over there. We had the Lions losing, which now means the Vikings are a win away from tying the NFC North lead with the Lions, as well as tying the NFC lead with the Lions and the Eagles. A win here would put the Vikings at 12-2, Lions are 12-2, and the Eagles are 12-2. And then we have a lesser game, but a pretty important game for our Falcons fans. We have Atlanta traveling to Las Vegas. Again, I think Atlanta is 2 games back from Tampa, but Tampa did play yesterday. So a win here for Atlanta would put them back to 1 game back from the Bucks. Atlanta has also, I think, lost 4 games in a row. So potentially a good bounce back game for the Falcons today. We also have a couple NHL games today. I saw that Ethan does have at least one NHL bet out there for the day. And then I do see a decent slate of college or NBA basketball. Not the greatest college basketball slate. I don't even know if there's a ranked team playing. But feel free to comment if you guys do have any bets or games that you want to talk about or bets that you like. Please let us know in the comments. And also, please like and share and sub for us. We really appreciate it, guys. Every single subscriber we are donating to St. Jude between now and potentially Christmas, but maybe the end of New Year's. But Ethan, welcome. I know you're just getting home from work, so we're a little we're a little stressed here trying to get this in before the games kick off here. But how are you, and how do you like tonight's slate?
Yeah, doing all right. Not the best NFL Sunday, I know, for either of us, but believe it or not, I'm immune to bad NFL Sundays so far, or at this point in the year. So doesn't really no sweat off my back. But yeah, have not had time to look into any NBA today, so apologies for that. I will look into that and tweet out any plays that I do have. I'll kind of try to dig through here. You mentioned I do have an NHL play locked in. The line has moved. Not crazy about these Monday night games, but overall doing well. Ready for Christmas and New Year to come up here. It's overall a good time of year. College basketball starting to get into some conference play after the holidays, which is our bread and butter. So yeah, feeling good. Another shitty NFL Sunday, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, honestly, a deflating weekend for me in the betting world. Had a good parlay Friday. Again, the parlays are the only thing that's working for me, and I know it's not a profitable strategy, but I can't hit a straight bet to save my goddamn life. It was very frustrating because we were literally had the game spot on between Army and Navy. We love the over, which I know might be a little square, but it was no sweat. And then we loved Navy, and that was no sweat. And unfortunately, we added in there the Army money line. So that's what the one bet we hated. We added in there. So unfortunate because we could not have been more right on our 2 favorite plays, and we ended up losing a bet. But that was kind of how the weekend worked for me. I love the Colts. I still think they're probably the right side in that game. If you guys didn't see, Jonathan Taylor was not the only guy, but it happened twice. But fumbled the ball, scoring a go-ahead touchdown. Just drop the ball. Completely changed the whole dynamic of the game. Ultimately led to the Colts trying to do a trick play, which then got pick sixed. It was just an absolute disaster. If Jonathan Taylor holds onto the ball a fraction of a second more and crosses the goal line with the freaking ball in his hand, I think we win that bet. The Browns was never freaking close, and the Panthers was never freaking close. So 2 unfortunate bets for me. I did like the Bills. Ultimately did not bet them. Also love the Packers, but I made that a same game parlay, and that did not hit. So just a deflating weekend. But that's betting, I guess, for you. I didn't realize it was going to be this rough this season, but it is what it is. But what do you want to get into first here?
Yeah, I just have to quick add to that because I believe that Jonathan Taylor would have put them up 20-3 at that point. So Yeah, that's deflating. I was with you on the Panthers. That sucked, but let's rewind to two bad ones on Saturday that you and I think both had. Arizona basketball up,
Oh
I
my
think
god.
11 points, 7 minutes left. 2 points, the final 7 minutes, lost by three. We had a -3.5 or -3. That was brutal. Just when I thought it couldn't get worse. Army does not win, which we're just idiots for throwing that in. That's on us. And then Illinois, second game in a row, they get hooked. +1.5, lose on a game winning layup, lose by two. So, yeah, dude, it's, I say it every time. It's the fact that it's every sport. I'm just losing
Yeah.
every sport, and it's been better. The last couple weeks have been better, but tired of it.
Yeah, and I don't want to hone into the fact too much about the NFL, but that's like the fourth or fifth time this year in the NFL where guys have fumbled the ball going into the end zone. It's not. I don't know. It's mind blowing to me that this keeps happening. You know, it was, it maybe happened once or twice in the span of like 3 4 years. Remember the Oregon one that they ran back? There was one else in college football that was really bad, but it's happened like 4 or 5 times this year alone in the
Yep.
NFL where guys are fumbling right before the goal line. And I feel like maybe it's just the recency bias, or maybe because I'm a little butthurt, but I feel like it only happens on teams that I bet. At least that's what it feels like. So, how about we just tell the guys, and again, these guys get paid more than their coaches, so are they really going to listen? But just hand the ball to the ref, or just, you know, pretend that the back of the end zone is the goal line. Or I don't know what you have to
Okay.
tell these stupid guys. Just hold on to the ball, chuck it into the stands if you want when you're in the ends. I don't care. Just, oh my god,
I
it's
mean,
infuriating.
I tweeted it out, and I think it's a fair way to deal with it. Jonathan Taylor should have to find his own way home from Denver. I mean,
Yeah,
like, is that bad? I mean, it's inconvenient for sure. You got to pay a little bit, which a flight for them is nothing. But that would keep me from doing it. I don't know. I feel like that's a very fair punishment for doing that.
honestly, they should get fined. They should get fined for that.
Yeah.
They get fined for head-to-head hits. They should get fined for fumbling the ball on the inch yard line because they can't hold on to it for a foot more. So I don't know. And again, I don't want to sound super old school, but a New England's Patriots team would never do that when Bill was the coach. They would, if they did it, they would get benched for the rest of the probably the season,
Yeah.
at least the rest of the game. There would not be a question. They would not step foot back on that game, back on that field. It's just absolutely infuriating. So
Really quick, sorry. Just makes me think of it. I, for a quick stint in my life, coached middle school long jump in track. And I had a kid once who was jumping, doing his jumps, and he claimed that his toe kept going over the line and they wouldn't call it. So he comes up to me and says, I'm going to go over the line. They're not calling it. I was like, I wouldn't do that. Sure enough, steps over the line, they DQ him. So I almost feel like that's what these players are doing. They're like, it's close enough. They're not going to call anything. And then they call it. I don't know. It just reminded me of that, but
yeah,
it's not hard. It's just not hard.
it was the perfect ending to a terrible day. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, let's go to the. I know you have a play in the NHL. Let's talk. There's only 3 games in the NHL. Let's talk about those real quick. We have the Capitals Stars, we have the Panthers Oilers, and we have the Avs and the Canucks. I'll send it to you first because I know you do have a play in this
Yeah,
earlier
I
game.
am yeah, I'm on the Stars here. I locked it in -141 this morning. It looks like it's closer -160 now. Um, not ideal. Yeah, I mean, I would still probably play it, but I don't know. I'll try to get closer to 150. Um, it's really the kind of strategy that you got me onto, the worst record, the worst team laying kind of an absurd number here. Um, 18-11 for the Stars against 21-6-2 for the Caps, and the Stars are almost a 2-1 favorite, getting up into that territory. So automatically look to the Stars. I believe the Stars are 10-2 their last 12 home games, so they're playing very good at home, struggling a touch on the road. Um, yeah, I think the ultimately the Stars, I have a future on them to win the Stanley Cup. I know a lot of people think they are um, very live to win the Stanley Cup, and ultimately, I think they're going to be the better team once this season is finished than the Capitals. Caps got off to a hot start. Not sure if they're going to be able to sustain that, and they do also, I believe, play quite a bit better at home than on the road. So, give me the Stars at home. Like I said, I got minus 141. Um, Shop around. I'd try to get closer to like a minus 150 if that's still available.
Yeah, I like it. I'm not going to bet it just because the Capitals lines are every time I look at them, it just seems weird. It's like they don't give them enough credit, and I think they're a pretty good team. But I do agree. I think they're a much better team at home. So yeah, I think the Stars probably win that game. But yeah, I'm not going to jump on it. The Oilers and the Panthers are two teams that have refused to bet. I know that did the Oilers. You were on them? Was it last night or the night before?
I've been on them 2 straight games, and they, won 6-3 and 7-1, so I
Wow.
kinda like the Oilers.
Yeah, I'm not gonna touch them because as soon as do, I'm gonna ruin something special for you. So I'll do that out of absence there. And then the Avs and the Canucks tonight. Again, the Canucks do fit my system here, but I hate betting games with the Avs. I think the line is always just crazy in those. So gonna stay away from that. But I do lean the Canucks. Do like the Stars with you. And then no play for me. No lean for me on the Oilers and the Panthers.
Yeah, I will say, yeah, maybe the best way to play the Stars at this point in regulation, or if they go down 1-0 early, you could hop back in on their money line and probably get a really nice price on that. Also, for as small of a slate as we have, at least they are three pretty solid games.
Yep.
Panthers Oilers, that's should be a fantastic game. So I know there's two football games on that will be taking up most of my attention tonight, but um, for hockey fans out there, at least that's a really, really solid game.
Yeah, I agree. As you said, you don't have any NBA. I don't either. Do you even want to talk about it?
No, I have not gotten time to look. I think I said it last week on the live. I basically have like 4 or 5 factors I look for, and unless I can get 4 or 5 of those factors to all go my way, it's basically just been a pass. The NBA Cup is really kind of throwing a wrench into things
Yeah.
too, so I'm very selective at this point in the NBA. Um, yeah, I will dive in as soon as we get off here, and I'll be sure to tweet out any play that I might make or any lean. Um, I doubt I'll have a play, but yeah, I have not even gotten a chance to look, so I don't have anything to talk about.
Yep, I will tell you right now, I will not have a bet on the NBA. That sport is ass currently for me. I think you said it perfectly though. The cup is kind of throwing everything off for me because I think it's just a whole. You have to look at it completely different. It's almost a different sport.
Yeah.
They just care just a touch more. The regular season they don't care at all. But they care a little bit more. College basketball, I will tell you also right now, I will not have a bet on college basketball. There's not one ranked team playing today. Unless you have something, I am totally fine. Just scratch that and go to the NFL. But if you like a game or there's something you're eyeing, please let us know.
Yeah, I thought I had a lean, but now I cannot remember it. But yeah, no play for me in college hoops. Again, another tough time of year for college hoops.
Yeah.
Basically now through Christmas, basically.
We do have a couple highly ranked teams playing tomorrow. No one's playing each other, but we do have a ranked game, including my Michigan Wolverines against Oklahoma on Wednesday. Full slate of college basketball Wednesday. That is the only ranked matchup. Um, but yeah, it's they're doing their holiday tournaments and holiday stuff for the next probably 10 days. There'll be some random games up there. But then we'll get into, like you said, conference tournament play, which is where we really, I want to say, shine in college basketball. That's at least where we find, I think, most of our system plays. But yeah, tough slate right now for college basketball. But let's get into the doubleheader in the NFL. Because I kind of really like the Bears, and I think the Bears are going to win outright.
Really?
So I'm debating. I haven't taken it yet. I've only taken a $10 same game parlay because there's a stupid boost on DraftKings. And like I said, those are the only bets that are working for me. Is just I think it's $10 to win like 380 or something is my little parlay. Again, it shouldn't hit, but it always finds a way to get somewhat close. But I kind of love the Bears. I really do. I think the Bears win it outright. I do have them +7 in my parlay, but I think they win this game outright.
I definitely like the points. I would never even consider laying 7 with Minnesota here. Um, First of all, Lions Twitter has just imploded today.
Yeah.
All the injuries, the loss, which you and I both saw that loss coming. It's been a long time coming. I mean, they arguably should have lost to Chicago. They could have, should have lost to Green Bay. They've been hanging on by a thread, and in the end, I think it's an okay loss. The issue is all these injuries that are piling up as well, and some serious. I mean, Montgomery now gone for the year. McNeil gone for the year. Carlton Davis gone most of what's left of the year. Um, yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think they can still overcome it. A lot of people are saying the Super Bowl's gone and done for because we lost Monty, which it's not. But a Chicago win would certainly bring Lions Twitter back to life tonight. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. You can't lay it with Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota has taken so much money, and the fact that this isn't going to 7.5, which I'm gonna keep an eye on it. We have what, hour and a half until kickoff, hour 45. Um, if it goes to 7.5, I might get a little weary, but it looks like they're just gonna keep adding juice onto Chicago at the +7, and yeah, that's quite telling. I think if it stays at 7.
Yeah. Basically my reasoning for this, also quickly to touch on the Lions, we both thought they were going to lose. Like you said, the biggest thing was three or two season ending injuries. Two are probably best offensive or defensive lineman remaining, and then obviously Monty, who I do think Gibbs is better, but they are a fantastic 1-2 punch. So having him gone is detrimental. And then Carlton Davis, I think, will be back at least for playoffs. But yeah, you can't do that. You can't have three multiple week, two season ending, one multiple weekend. You just can't do that. Um,
And Dorsey too. I mean, he's not that good, but
yeah,
he,
it's
with how banged up we've been, he was somewhat of a key piece. His
yeah.
leg was all hutched.
I'm just worried, and I know we're both Lions fans, so let's talk here for a second. But I am just worried that we're going to look back. I fear that we're going to look back, especially last year when we should have beat San Fran to make our Super Bowl berth, first ever Super Bowl berth, may I remind you. And then now we're going to potentially look back at this season and say we were the best team in the NFL and are just the most injured team. So I'm just really nervous. And again, I can never be happy with Detroit. I don't know what it is. I'm always weary about them. I never get fully invested just because my heart gets ripped out year after year. 29 years now doing this, and it's the same shit every single year. But yeah, I'm just worried that we're gonna look back and be like, wow, that 2 year span we really really missed out on. But I hope to be proven wrong. Anyways,
Really quick, sorry.
go ahead.
I'll keep it short, but two things that give me hope is A, Buffalo outside of us are the best offensive team, and we kind of showed that we were able to trade points. So I think, worst case scenario, if our defense is that banged up, we could still trade points with the best of them in the NFC. Secondly, everyone wrote off Kansas City, was it last year or 2 years ago or both, because they
Sure.
were so banged up. They had no weapons, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, Mahomes is a different character than um, anyone else that's ever played the game, but uh, there's still a ton of talent on that team. So if the Chiefs could do it last year, I think there's still enough talent on Detroit to potentially get it done, but not ideal.
Yeah, it's going to be shootouts probably from here on out for Detroit. Onside kick it every time, go for every fourth down, go for 2 point conversions every time. Anyways, going to Minnesota, big game for Minnesota. Again, a win here gets them a tie in the lead for the NFC North and a tie in Seoul or a tie for first in the NFC with the Eagles and the Lions. So huge game for the Vikings. They also looked fantastic last week. Sam Darnold making a late case for MVP here. What did he have? 5 touchdowns, 350 yards last week against the Vikings' old quarterback and Kirk Cousins. They've won what is it, 1, 2, 3, 6 in a row now for Minnesota. And then you have the Bears fire their head coach, lost to Detroit, which was the game that got him fired, got destroyed by San Fran. And I was on Chicago in that game against San Fran, absolutely murdered San Fran, then got their crap kicked in last week. I don't know. I just don't think people are I think they're looking at these two games and saying there's no way the Falcons lose or no way the Vikings lose. Let's parlay them both. I honestly think the Falcons lose tonight. Or sorry, the Ravens. Wow, Vikings lose tonight. So I'm all over the Bears, and I think I might add in a money line slip here. I think they get it done. I love DJ Moore today. I think his receiving yards, I think his touchdown, I think he's going to have himself a game. I don't know. I think it's going to be a bad game for Minnesota. So definitely would not recommend taking both the favorites on the money line in a two-teamer today. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. But I got a weird feeling Bears pull this one off. May I also remind you, Bears play the NFC North extremely tight this year. They lost to the Lions by 3. Probably should have won that game, at least gone to OT. They lost to the Vikings about a month ago, 4 weeks ago. In overtime, they lost to the Packers by 1. So all 3 points or less to the NFC North opponents. They play them tight. I think they pull this one out of their ass. I think I'm going to get on them. Just
Yeah.
say screw it and do the money line.
One quick thing too, just that I've really taken notice of, and it's really what pushed me over the edge to bet the Packers last night. I've noticed this year when they're around the key numbers here, the sevens and the threes. So, for example, the Packers were sitting at 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. They're taking money, um, and they got moved to 3, which then told me, the books aren't that worried about giving a +3 to Seattle. They still, you know, in my head that pushed me to take Green Bay because they gave them the 3. In this game, if they're not going to give Chicago the +7.5, if they're not going to throw that hook, that tells me Chicago's got to be the play. Um, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain that too well. Like I'm just looking ahead. Detroit right now is a 6.5 point favorite against Chicago. Obviously, that line could change depending on what happens tonight, but just say it is 6.5. Detroit's going to take a ton of money, and if that never moves to 7, that's telling you Chicago is the
Yep.
side. So it's just something I've really started to take note of in the NFL when it comes to the threes and the sevens. If the public's coming in one side, and if they don't move it to the solid 3 or 7 or give you that hook, um, it's probably telling you which side is where you need to be.
I agree. I agree. Speaking of weird numbers, let's move to the second game. Falcons Raiders. Falcons are a 6.5 point favorite. This line has moved up. This was at, I believe, 4.5 when we recorded our intentional lounging show. So it has moved up a couple points here. Let me just double check here. Uh, it was at 4 on last Wednesday when we recorded. So this line has gone up 2.5 points. Um, I don't think there's a world where Atlanta loses this game. I think Atlanta is going to walk away with it. No Max Crosby for the rest of the season for the Raiders. Sounds like they kind of threw in the towel. This is a revenge game though for Desmond Ritter. Gets me a little nervous playing back. He is starting tonight against his old Falcons. And also with my luck, the Vikings are going to blow out the Bears, and the Raiders are going to be the ones that win outright. And I'll completely get this backwards and turned around. But I love the Falcons. I'm not going to bet this on the spread, um, but I think Atlanta gets it done pretty easily in this game.
Yeah, I agree. Falcons are just way too public, and we missed the 4. I mean, that would have been nice, but yeah, I'm not going to bet this game. I like the over. I don't
Yep.
see too many stops here. Also, just another fishy line to note. Uh, Atlanta -6, they're -305 money line. Just looking down the board, you have Chicago, or sorry, Detroit again next week -6.5. They're -278 on the money line, so bigger spread, less money line. So I don't know if there's much to that. Just my gut is telling me that's because Atlanta's probably the side that's going to win it. But yeah, I think we missed the number on the 4. Yeah, I don't know. I think Kirk probably has a decent day. He's heard
Yep.
for about a month now how bad he's been playing. So the Raiders defense, if there's any defense to go against to get your numbers back right, it's probably them. Um, so I don't know what his passing touchdowns is set. It's got to be 1.5. I'm not sure
One
what
and a
the.
half. I think it was -130 or something like that.
Yeah,
I
I don't hate
do
that.
like him under interceptions. Love that. I think it was plus 100. I think they're going to give him a pretty easy game plan. In my parlay, I have him under interceptions. Well, maybe I don't, but I do like that quite a bit. I think again, there's going to be a pretty black and white game from Atlanta. They, they do need to win this game, but I just don't think they're going to get super crazy. So I do like Bijan to score twice. I think anytime touchdown for Bijan is close to minus 200. 2+ touchdowns, I think is going to be the Bijan play. Do like Mooney quite a bit as well tonight. Yeah, just not big on the Raiders. Do like you said on the over. I've seen a lot of people on this over. So if you do want a straight bet, I think that's probably going to be the sharpest and the play that I trust the most would be the over in this game. Um, so I would lean that. I've seen a lot of people also on the under in that Vikings Bears game, but
I do like that.
yeah, I think I'm gonna deposit, and I shouldn't because I told myself I wouldn't, but I think I'm gonna put it and just take Bears +7 straight, take the under of that game straight, and take the over of the Falcons Raiders. 3 straight bets. I think that's gonna be what I'm gonna do tonight, along with my little save me, please help me pay out my fantasy league parlay winner.
Yeah.
Um, with that I did post. But yeah, do you have anything else? I know we wanted to keep this one relatively short. Um, I think that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I think I'm going to play Chicago.
Okay. I've
God,
like
I don't know if I can get a full unit on them. I just do I really want to die a month earlier than what I would if I didn't bet them?
hear me out. Maybe this is another no touchdown game. Bears Vikings 12-9. Vikings potentially win it is my guess.
See, now that would be nice because all I'm seeing is myself putting that +7 in the slip and then just watching Jefferson and Addison run rampant like they did against Atlanta last week. That's all I
Yeah,
can see.
five
Jefferson wide open.
touchdowns,
Yeah,
267 yards between the two. Dude, that was
Baker,
the worst defense I've ever seen.
that was god awful.
That
That
had
was,
to be rigged or something.
dude, that was I forgot who that DB was, but he got cooked the entire game.
Yeah,
Didn't matter who you put on him.
he should be in the same bus home with JT and the
Yeah,
guy from the Bengals who fumbled it early too.
yeah.
Um, Granted, I think the Bengals guy he did drop it early, but it looked like he was like trying to change hands or something.
Mhm.
The JT one he just was celebrating early and just dropped it. So
Yeah,
both terrible, but
yeah.
I think JT's was much worse. But that's probably gonna do it, boys. We will and girls if there are any girls on here. I will be posting. I talk myself into bets way too much, but I probably will have at least 2 straight bets. And right now, it would be the over the Falcons Raiders and the Bears on the spread would be my two. Potentially, might add Bears Vikings under. But that's going to be the plays again. Make sure you do follow on Twitter. Both of me and Ethan post our plays every single day over there. I know Ethan already has an NHL bet out there. I did post my please save me from debt same game parlay on Twitter. But make sure you do check us out there and sub to us over here on YouTube. We really appreciate it, guys. But you have anything else to add before we sign off here?
Yeah, I'll just say because if I do play this Chicago spread, it's going to be late, like 5 minutes before kickoff. If that moves to 7.5, I'm probably staying off because that probably tells me that Minnesota might be the play. But if that stays 7 or moves back to 6.5, sign me up. I will be on Chicago again. I will tweet it, but it's gonna be super late. So, um, for anyone listening who wants to be on Chicago, I would just keep an eye on it. 8 o'clock comes around, view it. If it's still sitting 7, maybe fire away.
Yep. Well, good luck, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We do have our college bowl previews out, as well as other videos coming out this week, MMA, NFL, you name it. So make sure you do check out our page. We really appreciate it. Until then, good luck, good scores. Hopefully, you guys win some money. And